2, 1. We are live. Welcome to our group's live stream. Here we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make money in their market and how we can get those results. Here is your host, Han Nguyen, and I am his VA, Jay. So, welcoming you back to our group. So today we have this opportunity to talk to Mr. Garth Vader Henderson, and we would like to give him a big welcome. So Garth, how are you doing today?
How are you going, Jay? I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you for asking, mate. All good here.
That's great. So let's begin with a few questions, or if you would like to say a few words before we begin.
No, just thank you for having me on the show, and yeah, thank you for welcoming me.
You're most welcome here. So, we have a lot of questions for you, and I would like to begin with the first question, which a lot of people will be having on their mind is, do you still use manual bidding or do you do auto bid? And with your experience in this field, which do you prefer, manual or auto bid?
Oh, thank you. I think the gentleman's name is letrithanh. Hello. So it depends, right? Your manual bids are a bit of a tricky beast. They are quite challenging to set up and they're quite challenging to monitor. They can give you a slightly better return on investment. They can get your return on ad spend a lot better than auto bid, but I mean, they are not by any means an easy thing to do, and they require constant monitoring. So I highly recommend a balance of both. Actually, don't just go manual, don't just go auto. Try them both and determine what your ad spend is like and your return on ad spend is like, and go from there. That would be my highest recommendation.
Okay. So let me just rephrase that for you. So you say a person should have a balance of both. That would be manual as well as auto bid. Is that correct?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's lovely. So I hope everybody is listening to this. As Garth just said, you should have a balance of both, not just going for auto bid or maybe manual. You should always have both, right? So coming to the next question, Garth, in your opinion, what is the right time to adjust the target and ad growth?
Well, you should, so according to my teachings, you should never really be adjusting your targeting. Well, it depends. So there's the initial ad set that you launch. In a lot of cases, unless you know your niche or your audience very well, it should be fairly broad. For example, all males, all females, all age groups. And then as you start gathering data, you'll see where your clicks are coming from, where your purchases are coming from, and then you can start cutting out, which is cutting out the bad data.
Okay.
I would recommend doing, you can, to maybe even day 3, you can already start seeing some trends in your data, depending on how quickly your ads are spent. So it all depends on how quickly you're running through the budget. But I mean, you should see some patterns start emerging within, $50, $100 ad spend. You should definitely see some patterns. That's day 1 or day 2 or hour 1 or hour 2. It's based on how much money is actually being spent, how much data you're collecting. That'll tell you when to actually cut out your ads.
Okay.
All good?
That's great. So, according to you, what makes successful advertising?
Sorry, mate?
According to you, what makes a successful advertisement?
A successful advertisement, a couple of things, right? One, is, and most importantly, have you targeted the right people? Okay. If I'm advertising a snooker table to people who do water polo or some other weird sport, it doesn't make any sense. Hello Van, if I advertise, gardening equipment to some people who like ballet, it won't make any sense. So the actual underlying product, the actual underlying website needs to obviously match the target audience. Otherwise, you're not going to have any luck. So that's pretty simple. Next big thing is imagery. So regardless of advertising platform, it's super important to make sure that whatever platform your user is scrolling down or scrolling on, whether they're checking emails or they're scrolling down their Facebook feed, the image needs to be attractive. It needs to stand out from the rest, and it needs to, as someone's scrolling down, it needs to clearly break the pattern, which is called pattern interruption. So that's very important. Obviously, the message you write in your ad copy is very important. For example, if you are advertising to a notoriously large male population, you wouldn't use heart emojis or heart emoticons. It's very unlikely that they'd like that sort of thing. If it's an outdoors or survival niche, they wouldn't appreciate that. So your ad copy is very important. Yeah, I'd say those are some of the basic principles. It's called an engagement offer, so it's something that's exciting to your audience. Advertising a pair of sandals that are just unattractive, or just they might look good, but they're just a pair of sandals, is not really going to work when you're competing with other advertisers.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for that input here. So basically, what I understand here is it's the most important thing is to see what kind of target customer base you are targeting, and that would really help the kind of advertisement which you would like to show. Is that what you were getting at, right?
Yes, so a couple of things. It's target audience, what the ad looks like. If you're using videos, what the thumbnail looks like. Yeah, but most importantly, you're advertising to the wrong people. Yeah, it's never going to work.
Okay. Right. So basically, the correct group has to be there, and when you're showing a particular advertisement, that's what everybody should look into. That's great. And coming to the next question, Garth, here, do you use images or video ads? And say, for example, if we go in for a video ad, how do we find a good video ad?
So can you repeat the question for me, Jay?
Sure. So when showing an advertisement, do you go in for plain, simple image advertisements or video advertisements? And say if we go in for video advertisements, how do we find a good video ad?
Opportunities like with different advertising platforms to do different advertising methods. Okay. On Facebook ads, for example, there's also the carousel ad option, or the dynamic product ad, catalog ads. There's your typical image post, there's your typical page post, there's typical video post. So there's so many different options, and I mean, it depends. If you have the time to import a product into a country, get someone to do some good videos for you, then that makes sense. But I mean, it's a difficult one. There's no better one. You can't measure it like that, because if I don't put effort into my video and I do hello Leha, I'm difficult with names. If I don't put effort into my video ad, if they're going to watch a video, it needs to be entertaining. Image. Hello?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the last sentence? I lost you there.
Okay, so the bottom line is, if I don't put effort into my video ads, right, people are not going to watch them. People are not going to click on them. People are not going to click on my website because I'm going to lose their interest very quickly. So the Facebook audience, for example, loves video ads, okay? The internet is notoriously lazy. But if I don't put effort into my video ads, it's not going to help my marketing. Whereas you could put a lot less effort into an image post and get a lot more virality. So it's actually, you can't really measure it like that. I'd say if you're going to import a product, put a lot of effort into actually recording it, doing it properly and doing it professionally, then yes, your video ad might outweigh your image post, but it requires a lot of effort. It's not simply a case of shooting a product and, hoping for the best. So it depends. Yeah, it really depends. There is no definitive answer. You can't say one is better than the other. You can't do that. Yeah.
Oh. So again, sorry, go ahead.
And I was saying hello to Leha. There's someone on there saying name's Leha. I was just saying hello.
Sure.
Good stuff. Cool. Next question.
Oh, sure. So, do you generally suggest we start with a general store or a niche store? And say, for example, if you would suggest somebody to begin with a niche store, would it be like straight away niche store, like for a newbie, or it would be more of a general store which you should begin with? As in generalized products or niche product?
So there's two ways to look at it. Look, the fact is that the general store concept is being overpopulated, right? Everybody's trying to, so all these products that people are finding in their general store are probably being sold already. That's the truth of the matter. So now you've got this non-unique product which is selling, non-unique product which thousands of people are selling. But then again, a number of skills you need to start a general store and to make your first sale are less. So it's a bit of a difficult one. However, if you go niche, you're going to have to put the time and effort in, and it requires experience and skills to do that. So that's a balancing act. Do you have the experience and skills, or lots of experience and skills? Then you might go niche. If you if you don't have any experience, you might go general. But I mean, on the one side, you're fighting with a lot of competition. Thousands and thousands, I promise you, thousands of people are selling the exact same product as you. It's kind of like going on Alibaba and looking up, what can I say? Hundreds of other sellers, hundreds. It's the same concept as starting up a general store. There's a high chance your products are sold by hundreds of other people. So when you compete in the marketplace, it's very saturated. So kind of like similar when you go for coffee. You go for coffee down the street, coffee places. Now you got to compete with these 10, you're opening up a coffee shop, you have to compete with these 10 different other coffee shops. So that's the one challenge, is saturation. On the other side, if you go niche, if you go dog and cat niche, you're dealing with, again, thousands of people. But if you find your unique niche and you're willing to put in, 8, 9, 10 months worth of effort, maybe 13, 14, 16, 18.
Give me a minute here, guys. I think there's some problem with the internet connection. Kindly stay on the line.
That's about the best answer I can give you, and that's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And coming to the next question. So, would you be using one pixel, one niche, or the same one for many niches? When you're, say, for example,
no. So for me, it's super important not to dilute my pixel. So yes, you might have a general store pixel, and it's going to get diluted with a lot of different products. But my recommendation is if you go niche, and that's the problem with the general store, and you can use custom conversions and try and get around it, or use tools that maybe segment your data for you. But if you're going niche, my highest recommendation is literally one pixel per niche. Do not mix it because they're different people. People who buy tennis shoes might not buy, badminton bats or whatever it might be, or again, gardening people might not buy tennis shoes. It doesn't make any sense. So it's best not to dilute a pixel.
Okay, that's great. So, when we say we are creating a general store, here do we create a general fan page or a niche fan page?
So there's benefits to both. The benefit to
just for general store.
Yeah, there's benefits to both. If you have your sorry, I was just reading that comment there. If you've got a fan page for your general store, right, or an individual fan page for every niche in your general store, the advantage you get is congruency between the advertisement and the feeling and the community feeling around the fan page and your store. So your customer already feels at home. If you have your general store single fan page, you have the advantage of using a whole bunch of different tools that can automatically send your customers messages. So if they like your post, they can automatically send you a message, or your bot can automatically send them a message. So those are the two options. I mean, it's congruency versus bot automation, because you can't do bot automation across multiple fan pages for one store. You can't do it, as far as I know. So those are the two options.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So, a lot of people do have this question when we are creating Facebook ads. A lot of times it happens that Facebook bans the account, the Facebook ads account. In such situation, what should we do so that the account shouldn't get banned?
So Jay, I think the question I would have for them is, why are your ad accounts being banned? Because that doesn't happen to me very often. It happened to me once before when I was selling some questionable trademarked items, or slightly not even trademarked, just that they could potentially infringe on a trademark. They were my own creative, my own designs, but they could have been misconstrued as infringing on a trademark, existing trademark. I think it was Game of Thrones. I can't remember what I did. It was quite a while ago. But I don't do that sort of stuff anymore. I didn't have my ad account banned. I follow the advertising guidelines, and I don't do anything outside of that scope because I can't afford to have my ad account shut down. Unfortunately, I can't give anyone any recommendations because I'm not experiencing this. My guess is, I'm only guessing here, guys, but I'd recommend whatever's getting the account banned, stop doing that, and also review the Facebook policy guidelines. They're written out quite, in a nice bullet point manner, and they say they do not advertise sexual stuff or before and after photos for fitness niche. And I review those guidelines every 2 to 3 weeks. I just make sure I'm up to date. My ad account hasn't been banned in ages, so I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So still, even though you said you don't have much experience in this particular Facebook ads accounts getting banned, I would take your word here when you say that people should follow all the guidelines so as to avoid getting their accounts banned, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So, okay, fantastic. So the next question which arises is like, apart from Facebook, what other platforms do you use to drive traffic to your site?
Yeah. So it's very important, especially if you want to build a long-term e-commerce business. You have to be using YouTube advertising. You have to be using Snapchat advertising. Again, sorry, it depends on your target demographic, because each target demographic is predominantly used, most of the time, predominantly uses one or other platform. So ages 30 through 45 might use Facebook. Ages 18 through 35 might use Instagram. Ages 18 to 24 might use Snapchat. So it depends on your target demographic. But for me, I have to be using Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Google AdWords, and make sure my Google SEO is done on my website. If you want to build a proper business, you need to have those in place.
Okay. So here, thank you so much for that. Here we have another question, or rather one of our viewers. He is asking what kind of recommendation would you give for US or European source of product?
So I think, so it depends. There are specialized sourcing houses that you get in Europe. I can't give you any names online, but I can find some for you if you want. But there are specialized European sourcing houses. Exactly the same thing that you find in China, you can find in Europe and the USA. Even in Australia, you can find those shipping houses. The problem is the pricing might be very different. So, it depends. Are you sourcing, luxury brands from Europe you can't find in China? Or are you just trying to source normal products that you can get in China, but you're trying to source them in Europe? I'm not quite sure what you're trying to do there, but my highest recommendation is you go through China because it's going to be the best bang for your buck. Then you import it into whatever country and you distribute it through a fulfillment house in that European country. So it depends what you're trying to do.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I hope Edward, your Garth was able to answer your question, right? So coming to our next question, what kind of themes do you use to increase the conversion rate from your site? Any particular theme which you would suggest?
Yeah, there's two themes I use at the moment. No worries, Edward. I hope that helped you. Two themes I use at the moment. One is Turbo. So you can just search it, Turbo theme. It's built for speed, and I quite like it. But there's another one that's just been released, which is called Conversion, from our friend Phil, who's just designed it. And I'm sure the link is somewhere in the group here, if you guys want. But yeah, Conversion, the configuration is so easy and simple, and the speed is very, very high. So I highly recommend using that theme. Those are the only two I use at the moment.
Okay, so your two themes which you are suggesting, Turbo and Conversion, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Right? And it's because the way the site opens up or the themes react when you're opening up is one of the reasons, plus it's neat and clean, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Great. So, say another question which normally comes up here is my conversion rate is from my site is 1.3 as of now. Would you be able to provide some kind of inputs to increase the conversion rate from 1.3% to some maybe a better figure?
Yeah, so I think people are probably looking for tactical tips, which is not quite what I'm going to give you. What's more important is how you treat the whole funnel, right? Or the front, they call it the front end of your funnel. So if you're starting out on the Facebook fan page, right, and you can get more click-through rate and you can build a higher interest with your audience and you're targeting better, that's already the way Facebook ads work, for example, and the way Instagram works. If you're targeting the right people with the right message, with a good ad copy, that's already going to increase your conversion rate because the right kind of people are going to be clicking on your website. So you've got to think of the whole funnel, not just little tactics on your store to increase your conversion rate. Then when people land on your store, make sure obviously your images have to be pristine. They have to look really good. Your load time of your page, your landing page, it has to load quickly. Okay, we're talking about 3 seconds or under. It has to happen, non-negotiable. If it's not happening, guess what? You're going to lose customers very quickly. Your bounce rate is going to be through the roof. Okay. Second, another one is social proof. Okay, where's the evidence that someone's purchased from your store before and enjoyed the experience? Where's your reviews? Where's your customer reviews? Is your add to cart button visible? Have you actually written a decent amount of copy, so that people are intrigued by what you're offering? Price point, are you overpricing it? Are you underpricing it? Are you overpricing it for cold traffic? That's something else that could change it. And obviously making sure your checkout is trustworthy. Making sure it looks good. You don't want your site to look like something that was designed in China. Because, if you go look on Alibaba, it's not a pretty site. That's not why people buy. People buy there because they've got thousands of vendors to choose from and great low rock bottom prices. That's why they buy from there. They do not buy because of the look and feel. So it's very important the look and feel on your store is good. Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, there's another question from one of the viewers, Juan, and the question is, how to increase the average order value?
So the way you can do that is by offering, for example, bundles or, buy one, get one free offers. That's a simple way to, increase your average order value. Or there are some tools that allow you to do a pop-up. So for example, when someone adds a certain product to a cart, you can have a pop-up that says, hey, would you like this tool? Would you like this product as well? So those are some simple ways that you can do it.
Okay, so I hope Duan here again, Garth was able to answer your question. And coming to our next question, Garth, how much money do you spend for one product testing?
It depends. It can be anywhere as low as $300, for one product test, and I can take it all the way up to about $1,500, depending on the product. So it really depends, mate. I test so many products, it's not even funny, but yeah, depends on the product, depends how much I believe in it, depends on how much effort I've put into the actual product. It depends on if it's, have I created my own video? Do I feel like it's going to be a big winner? Do I believe in the product or not? But yeah, I can take it up all the way to $1,500.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, you were saying you will be topping it up till $1,500 if need be, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Again, we have another question from our viewer, Edward, and he's saying that his total sales per month is around 20K or 20,000, and the ROI is 20%. He's saying it's quite low ROI. That's what he thinks, and he would like to build a free traffic source. So, what should he focus on?
So his ROI is low, and he wants to build it. He wants to have free traffic so that he can increase his ROI without paying for ads.
That's correct.
Look, I don't know if you're running a general or a niche store, but one thing you could do is maybe set up a blog on your store and drive traffic to your blog or recommend your blog to your customers. Right? You could also tell them to give it to their friends to share. Write some interesting content, and obviously put SEO on your entire store. like SEO the crap out of it, and that'll start giving you some free content, some free traffic. You could also try Reddit, posting in Reddit groups, posting in Facebook groups, and that sort of thing. That if you want to do free, that's one way to go about it.
Okay, that's fantastic. I hope Edward, again, Garth was able to give you a solution here regarding the free traffic and increasing your ROI. Now, since you just mentioned SEO, Garth, the next question is for the same. What do you think about SEO in Shopify, and what kind of apps would you suggest for doing SEO for in Shopify to our viewers?
Yeah, so the audience is probably going to be quite disappointed because I hire out. I'm not an SEO expert by any means, not at all. I hire a team or I hire an agency to handle my SEO. That way I can focus on building my business and not focusing on the details. So for example, I will give them a product, I will show them a product that's selling well, and they will go off and perform the SEO for me.
Okay, fantastic. So again, I think the suggestion here would be to hire a good person or a team of guys who could do SEO, so you don't have to focus more on SEO, but focus more on sales. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I remember when I was doing WordPress, there were all kinds of cool plugins you could apply to WordPress to help you out with your SEO, to tell you what level your language is at. For example, is it at a 5th grader language level? Is it at a 10th grader language level? And that sort of thing, and how easy it is to read your content. And I'm 100% sure if if someone's asking, particularly if you're just searching Google for Shopify plugins that do SEO, I'm sure there will be thousands of tools, hundreds, tens, maybe, I don't know. You'll have to Google it.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, the next question was kind of similar here. We would just like to know is there a particular tool which we can use to find a good product and a product which is actually doing good?
Not really. I have a team that does it for me. So what I do is, I'll hunt on eBay. I will hunt on Amazon. I will hunt on AliExpress. I will just hunt those sites until something shows up, and I'll just constantly keep monitoring on them, and I'll also monitor my competition. What's my competition doing? And I'll just manually monitor what they're doing. I mean, I don't use tools for that process. I just monitor daily what's going on. Is there any new products launched? Just by looking at their website HTML and their product list, and just see that. But for me, it's important to monitor competition, rather than monitoring big websites, huge AliExpress sites and huge eBay sites. More important to monitor my competition and see what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. Now again, we have another viewer here, and he would like to ask you. He's new into this, and he's doing a dropshipping store. So he's asking, what would you recommend him to do in Q4 in terms of strategy? Since he's saying is that the shipping will take forever. So basically, is there any particular suggestion to improve his strategy for the the fourth quarter for dropshipping store?
Yeah, I'm not sure who asked the question, but if you're new to the business, maybe you shouldn't be worried about Q4, to be honest. Unless you're all of a sudden going to pick up huge amounts of sales, that I'm not guessing that'll be a problem for you, to be honest. But it's actually quite simple. I mean, all you got to do is communicate with your supplier in China. So if it's an AliExpress person, just communicate with them. Say, can you do volumes? Can you do 1,000 units a day? Can you do 10,000 units a day? Just ask them what's their capacity. And always use multiple suppliers. Never use one supplier, because if they don't do good business, you're in trouble. your PayPal account will get blocked, your Stripe account will get blocked. So find out what volumes a supplier can do and make sure you get multiple suppliers. Also, speak to your suppliers in China about their shipping options. And if you hit some trouble closer to Christmas, then make sure that they have alternative shipping options for you that are not too expensive. So maybe they offer USPS. You just got to check the pricing. Other than that, you have to push your products to a local warehouse in the USA for Christmas time. And just make sure you find out the best rate that fulfillment house can do for you. If you're very lucky, maybe you've got a cousin or something in the USA and they don't mind storing your products for you. But yeah, you've got to be careful. And I shut down my ads 2 to 3 weeks before Christmas because I don't want my accounts to get shut down. So yeah.
Okay. So I hope, Quang, that answers your question regarding your strategy in Q4. Coming to our next question, another viewer here has a question which says, how can I register Stripe for non-US citizens?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so just to let you guys know, I have to go in a couple of minutes, but let's keep on going with the questions. Okay, so I'm actually an Australian citizen, right? Sorry, I'm a South African citizen living in Australia with a Stripe account. So I think because I'm living in Australia with an Australian residential address, I had no problem at all. So I'm not sure, is the gentleman based in Vietnam or where is he based?
Oh.
It doesn't matter, but
he just mentioned non-US citizen, that's it.
So basically, I'm pretty sure you could do one in Australia, but the best option you'd have is to set up 2 things in the US, and this is going to be tricky. I'm not by any means saying it won't be tricky, but you need to go and register a LLC in the US. You need to register a bank account for a non-resident in the US, which should be achievable. You're going to have to, it is a tricky process. You're going to have to fly over to the US, and you're going to have to go and visit the bank there, and because they probably won't sign you up unless you go visit them. Once you've got that, you should be able to register a US postal address, a US PO box, and you should be fine. The alternative is there might be an LLC shelf company you can buy, so an existing shelf company which you can purchase, which might come with a US bank account attached to it, and then maybe they can do a swap over. It's a bit tricky, man. I'm thankful that I moved to Australia because I don't really have these problems anymore. If I was in South Africa, I might experience some of these challenges. So I'm just very fortunate to be here. But yeah, I'm 100% certain if you do a bit of Googling or you speak to some of the other members on the groups you belong to, I guarantee you there's plenty of other people that have had that problem.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for answering that question from the viewer. Okay, and coming to our next question, which objectives do you use for testing ads, like PPE or WC?
Yeah, so no worry, Levan Min. Good. That would be a long trip. Yes, it would be a very long trip. But sometimes having a Stripe account is extremely beneficial. So, sometimes it's worth the effort. Okay, cool. Okay, PPE or WC. So your page post engagement ad type is not designed to get you sales, right? It's designed to get you engagement on your page, on your fan page, or on your advert. That's what it's designed to do. But in its very nature, it's a lot cheaper to get someone to engage with your page post or your advert. It's a lot cheaper than getting someone to take an action on your website, which is a WC. When you optimize for WC, you're optimizing for someone to either add to cart, view your content, or purchase, right? But to find people like that is a lot more expensive. So it depends what you want. You can do very, very, very well with PPE because it can be a lot cheaper. You might not be able to reach the kind of turnover you want to do with the PPE. But it is a cheap ad form, a cheap form of ads. Similar to video views, it's also a pretty cheap ad form. Yeah, and you have to test it, unfortunately. It's not, none of the stuff is black and white. You're going to have to go in, you're going to have to see what type of product I have, what type of audience am I targeting, and then put out a PPE, put out a video views, and put out a WC, add to cart or purchase, and see what happens. I promise you it is different on every store and every product. You unfortunately, you have to test it. It is just the way it is. So PPE, you might not be able to scale it as well, but it can be very, very cheap if it is actually selling.
Okay, fantastic. So how many products do you test in a particular week?
Okay, it varies across the year, but I can test anywhere between 2 to 5 products a day.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the ad spend is a day.
Yeah, a day, right? Okay.
Yeah, a day.
So I guess that would be approximately on an average 30 to 50 products, in the range of 30 to 50 products in a week.
Yeah, quite easily.
That's great. So
again, depends on time of year, depends on budget, depends on cash flow. There's a whole bunch of variables that come into play. But yeah, roughly there.
Okay, fantastic. Now, coming to drop shipping again, when do we do AliExpress drop shipping? How do we deal with the refund or the products which are returned by the customers?
Yeah, so you see the problem is you can't, it's just not going to go all the way back to China. Nobody's going to pay for that, right? So, Mike, you're talking about a return products from your customer and demanding a refund?
Yes, right.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing is, I think I'd be sitting going, why are these products getting returned? Mm-hmm. That would be the first question I'm asking myself. Okay. If there's getting a lot of returns and refunds, right? Mm-hmm. Either one, the quality of your product is very, very questionable. Okay, you're selling shit. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just thinking here. Maybe you're selling bad products, right? Maybe the shipping times are just so long that by the time it gets to the customer, they don't want to know anymore. They don't care. So they will just, get the refund and just leave the product at the post office, right? Now, on your US mailage, you can actually have a local PO box for US Post, and there are actually companies that specialize in accepting returned products, and they'll keep them for you. There's also websites that sell off returned products, like an auction system, and they will try to sell your products for you on the auction site. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to go soon, but you can get that done for you, so that's an option. Yeah, but basically try to reduce your shipping times by establishing a better relationship with your suppliers in China. They will process your orders quicker and they will ship them out quicker for you. And make sure the quality is good. That's very important. You don't want to ship crap to your customer because they are going to fight with you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so the recommendation, what you say is just check if there's something wrong with the product, if there's a problem with the quality, why it is getting returned, and concentrate on quality, right?
Yeah, it's because what we're doing there is we're not looking at the problem directly, right? Right. We're looking at what's causing the problem. That's always a better way to think. Someone just spoke about mindset somewhere there. this is part of it. Is you're looking, you've got the wrong idea if you're looking directly at the problem. You know, you should be looking at what's causing the problem. I don't know if you guys have heard of the 5 whys, or root cause analysis. So it goes like this. Okay, why is my customer unhappy? Okay, because they have bad shipping times. Why do they have bad shipping times? Well, because I'm not sending out the order to my customer, to my supplier quick enough. Okay, so fine, if I send the order out quick enough, why is it still taking so long to get to my customer? Well, the processing times for my supplier in China is 5 to 7 days. Okay, why is it 5 to 7 days? Because they find it a risky business. How can I reduce the risk for my supplier? Well, pay up front or something like that. So just breaking down the problems. Don't just think of the problem that you're dealing with directly.
Okay, thank you so much. There's another question from our viewer, Duan, and he's asking, my store is general, and I have a general page where I boost all my products from different niches. Should I create a niche pages and run ads separately on them?
Okay, so the gentleman's got like a general store with a lot of niche products, and some of those niche products are successful.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
he's just asking whether he should create different ads for different niche products, like different pages, and run separate ads on them.
He's talking about different fan pages?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the questions we were covering a bit earlier, is, you know, do we run a general fan page or niche fan pages? I think that's the same sort of question that we're relating to here, but general fan page if you want to run bots. Niche fan page if you want congruency and relevance between your target audience and the product you're selling. That I keep it as simple as that. Just those two distinguishing factors.
Okay. Well, another viewer here, Lee, is asking if you could give a recommendation, which form of Facebook ads that they should run if they have a new Shopify new account and there's no visitor.
If you're on low budget, maybe you shouldn't be starting with Facebook ads, to be honest. You know, Facebook ads are very expensive. Even the sorry guys, my throat, I'm really gonna have to go soon, but Facebook ads can be very expensive. Even the PPE, even the video views, it can be expensive. And I'm talking about even people in the USA with a strong US currency are struggling, right? So if it's low budget, you're going to have a tough time with anything ads based on Facebook. So if you really want to try it, I have a friend who spent 6 months doing SEO, right? He spent 6 or 8 months doing SEO, and he slowly built it up. And now he's starting to make some traction in sales, but he did it on a budget of like, you know, just a few dollars. It was nothing. He had the Shopify store. He had the some applications, some apps on the Shopify store, and he 6 to 8 months. He built the SEO, built the free traffic, posted in groups, created Instagram posts, worked on the SEO, put up some YouTube videos, non-advertising based, just a YouTube video to a channel, a couple of YouTube videos to a channel, and he slowly started building his following like that and posting to his fan page regularly. I wish I could tell you a different story, but Facebook ads are very expensive. You know, even some of the good marketers are paying, you know, for a cost per acquisition, they're paying $10, $20, $30, $40 on low margin products, on low turnover products. You know, and it's just, sometimes it's not affordable. So Either gain experience as a good marketer and then use the Facebook ads platform. But if you're going to go budget, then PPE or video views might be your best option.
Okay, that's great to know. Do you want to have a glass of water, Garth?
I don't have a glass of water, mate.
Well, again, there's another question from one of our viewers, and that's how many audiences should he test per product? It's 2 or 3 audiences, or what do you suggest?
Oh wow, there's like every big marketer that I know does things very differently. So I have my own method where I will test 20 audiences per product. Okay. Then there are marketers who literally test on 1 audience per product. Right? So it varies. Obviously, I've had the best results with my tests and the way I test with many audiences because I like to gather data. But there are marketers who don't want the data, they just want the sale. If it doesn't happen on the 1 audience, they give up and they move on. You know what the problem is with Facebook ads? Is nobody knows how it really works. The algorithm is intellectual property that's owned by Facebook that they don't want to share. That's the problem, that's why there is no one best way to do things. So unfortunately, I wish I could say otherwise, guys, and I know if you're on a tight budget, it's very difficult to hear that. But you have to be testing. It's not an excuse. It's genuinely what happens is as you start building experience, you're going to have to start testing these different things. I like to test with more audiences, and the next guy you talk to, probably on the next live interview, will tell you 1 audience. So yeah.
So another question from one of our viewers here is, what do you think about the dog and cat niche? Is it still profitable, or there's saturation in that particular niche?
Yeah. So just to let you know, guys, I'm probably going to take one or 2 more questions, and then I'm going to bounce. So make sure they're good ones, yeah? Make sure they're the best.
Sure.
Dog and cat niche. So yeah, saturation is not exaggerated. Everybody gets into these 2 niches when they start. This was one of my first niches, was the cat niche. Was like the first niche I was in. But then again, I've got a friend who's in the dog niche right now and built up his store over 18 months, I think, right? Again, I know these probably aren't the answers you want to hear, but this is reality. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, but you can participate in dog and cat niche and still make good money, but you have to be a very smart marketer. You have to be finding good products. You have to be building a relationship with your audience. You have to be putting a lot of effort into your fan page. You have to be putting a lot of effort into your Instagram posts. You have to put a lot of effort into your SEO. It is a very competitive space. But if you build the experience, it's possible. I personally, if I started out from scratch, I would not, unless I had a very unique product, I would not enter these spaces.
Okay. So I understand you'll just take a couple of more questions, and we definitely let you go. Yeah. So the next, I would say, the second last question would be, we have this person is asking, like, when he's spending $5 a day, he is getting good amount of sales from the product. However, say if he's raising it from $5 to say $10 a day, his ads are not getting any sales. So what should he do next? Whenever he's increasing the amount of money, this sales are declining. kind of, or there's no sale or less sale.
Do you recall the name of the gentleman or lady that was asking the question? Just so I can refer to them by name.
Actually, it was given to me by the site admin.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, so that's actually because the budgets are so low and the amount of data is so low, it's really tricky to give you like a conclusive answer. But my recommendation is instead of doubling the budget, duplicate the ad set, okay, and see if that performs any differently. So whenever you adjust your budget on an ad, the Facebook algorithm, the pasting algorithm, is going to slow the way your ad spends and change the way you get your conversions. So duplicate the ad set, add the $5 on the other ad sets, still got $10 in total, and see if that works differently for you.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you so much. And the last question, which I think every person who is, whether he's into sales or even if it's customer services, they have is whenever they're sending a mail to somebody, it normally goes to their directly to their spam folder or their trash folder. So, is there any solution to avoid?
Okay, cool. Okay, so I happen to be looking this up today anyway. I'm very good at back-end marketing and creating money from thin air. But there's a couple of ways you can do it. One is when you set up a new store, you can set up a subdomain for the URL. Okay, for example, email.subdomain.com. That's going to put you in good stead with the ISPs. Okay. Second thing you can do is when you start sending mail, make sure it's low volume and regular. Okay. So send out your mails every 2 days and start at the first day you start your store, start sending small mails to your customer. Right. What else can you do? Don't use spammy titles, okay, in your email. Make sure the subject line is not spammy. You can just search subject lines not to use in email because of ISP issues, right? And you'll find lots of articles that will tell you exactly what not to use. For example, Facebook, Instagram, emails, there's certain subject lines that are seen as spammy. For example, the word free, in a lot of subject lines can be triggered by a lot of anti-spam filters. So you want to avoid words like that. Another way to do things is trying to reduce the number of complaints and spam signals that your customers are sending back to the internet service providers. So make sure that you're not spamming your audience, right? If you're spamming them with just offers and no value, they're going to hit spam on their side. And I've heard statistics that if you get as much as 3 spam flags on your 1,000 emails, the ISP will start blocking your traffic. So you're going to be very, very careful. Something else you can do is call a double opt-in. So when someone subscribes, right, make sure you send them another email that says, click this link to make sure you're subscribed. That is one of the best ways to do it. Yes, it's going to really shrink your list, but it's not about volume, it's about quality. You want to make sure that those people that are on your list actually want to be in your list and they actually want to receive content. That's super, super important. And yeah, add value. Provide content. Don't just try to push products. Provide content. Provide value. And that's some of those are the most critical ways in which you can improve your email performance. Yeah. Okay, Mr. J, I'm going to have to call that a wrap, mate, and Mr. Hugh. But thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. We are really honored that you gave up so much time and gave us a lot of valuable information today, Garth. You have a nice day, and thank you so much once again.
Not a problem, Jay. Very good to meet you, mate.
Same here. Same here. Great.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.